Feel the fire of anger rising inside you, sharp and relentless, threatening to cloud every thought and decision. Many believe anger is just a fleeting emotion, something to shrug off or suppress, but it is far more powerful and far more dangerous than most realize. Anger is a force that can consume your clarity, distort your judgment, and steal your inner peace if left unchecked. For centuries, warriors and sages alike have faced this invisible adversary, and few understood it as deeply as Miyamoto Musashi, the legendary samurai, and the Shaolin masters who turned discipline into an art form. In this video, we'll guide you through the forbidden techniques that Musashi used to transform anger from a destructive fire into a tool of ultimate mastery. You will discover how subtle shifts in awareness, ancient breathing practices, and the art of observing without reacting can break the chains of anger forever. These are not the teachings you find in ordinary self-help books. They are hidden philosophies, battle-tested strategies from the world of warriors who walked the razor's edge between chaos and control. By the end of this journey, you will understand why anger is not your enemy, but a mirror revealing hidden weaknesses, unhealed wounds, and untapped potential. You will learn how to harness it, how to move through life with calm precision, and how to awaken a power within that few ever achieve. Every thought that rises in your mind is a spark, and every spark has the power to ignite a wildfire within. Life, Musashi often whispered through the pages of his teachings, is a battlefield, not of swords and armor, but of impulses, desires, and hidden fears. The fiercest opponent you will ever face is not the stranger who offends you, nor the rival who challenges you. It is the storm that brews within your own heart. Anger in this arena is a double-edged weapon. Wielded blindly, it cuts not only those it targets, but also the hand that holds it, leaving confusion, regret, and pain in its wake. The mind itself is the field where every conflict begins and ends. A thought flares, a feeling surges, and the battle begins in silence. Shaolin masters have long said that observation without attachment is the first victory. When anger arises, it is not to be denied or forced away. Instead, it is to be met with steady attention, like a stream watching the wind ripple its surface. Every twinge of irritation, every flare of rage becomes a signal, a map of your inner landscape, pointing to unhealed places and hidden weaknesses. In these moments, mindfulness becomes your armor and your strategy. Each breath, each pause, each deliberate glance inward is a movement in this silent combat. The mind learns to recognize the spark without allowing it to leap into flames. Musashi's life was a testament to this practice, a warrior who faced life's chaos with precision, calm, and awareness, never letting the torrent of emotion dictate his hand. In learning to observe without becoming the fire, the battlefield within transforms. The once hostile terrain becomes a place of clarity, discipline, and inner mastery, where every challenge encountered is not a threat but a teacher. The body carries the mind storms long before thought can catch up, and in the dance of anger, the first flames are often physical, racing heart, tense muscles, shallow breath. Ancient Shaolin masters and samurai alike understood this intimately. They taught that the breath is the bridge between the chaos within and the clarity we seek. Each inhale, deliberate and deep, roots the mind in the present. Each exhale releases the weight of rising tension. In this simple rhythm lies the power to reclaim command over oneself. When anger surges, it is easy to feel swept away as if carried by a current too strong to resist. Yet, slow, intentional breathing interrupts this automatic reaction. It is more than a technique. It is a practice of discipline, a quiet assertion that the body will not dictate the mind. The samurai called it ki of the spirit, the voice of focus that rises from control, not force. Shaolin monks describe the breath as a river, flowing steadily beneath the turbulence of emotion, carrying away the sediment of impatience, frustration, and impulsive thought. The mastery of breath is a first step, yet a profound one. It teaches that control is not about suppressing feelings, but about meeting them with awareness and poise. Each measured inhale reminds the mind of its sovereignty. Each exhale releases the energy that seeks to erupt destructively. Over time, this rhythm becomes second nature, a silent anchor in the storms of daily life. Anger may still rise, but it no longer overwhelms. The breath becomes a quiet weapon, a source of clarity and calm, and a doorway into the deeper mastery of self. In learning to breathe with intention, the mind learns that even the fiercest of internal fires can be met with steady, unshakable composure. Every encounter in life carries a lesson, if only it is observed with clarity. Musashi, in his quiet contemplation between battles, spoke of understanding not only the world around him, but the world within. Every word that stings, every action that provokes, is a mirror held up to the mind. Anger, he taught, rarely arises from the surface. It is rooted in unseen fractures, old wounds, unmet needs, or hidden insecurities. The challenge is not to fight the world, but to understand it, and through that understanding, uncover the weaknesses that lie dormant within ourselves. When a person's words ignite irritation or a situation feels unbearably unfair, it is tempting to blame the outside world. Yet the wise see differently. Each trigger is a guide, pointing toward a place that requires attention, reflection, or healing. Shaolin philosophy describes this as turning the mirror inward, facing the self without fear or shame. Observation without judgment transforms reactive energy into knowledge. The mind becomes a quiet strategist, noting patterns, remembering lessons, and recognizing the subtle signs before they escalate into fury. This practice demands discipline. It is not enough to notice anger once or twice. Mastery arises from consistent awareness, a lifelong attention to the interplay between self and circumstance. In doing so, the triggers that once controlled the mind lose their power. What seemed like chaos in the outside world is revealed as a map of the inner terrain. By understanding both the environment and the self, clarity emerges. The mind learns to respond with precision rather than impulse. In every moment of provocation, there lies an invitation to grow, to heal, and to transform weakness into strength. The path is quiet, deliberate, and profoundly empowering. A path where anger becomes a teacher rather than a master. The strongest warriors are not those who strike first, but those who wait with calm patience, allowing clarity to guide every action. True power is measured not by the intensity of one's reaction, but by the mastery of restraint. Shaolin masters have long taught that energy wasted in impulsive response is energy stolen from life itself, a subtle erosion of strength, focus, and presence. To react without thought is to scatter one's essence across the winds of chaos. To pause, even for a heartbeat, is to preserve it for deliberate, purposeful action. Musashi called this approach the void strategy, a space of emptiness within the mind that allows the storm of emotion to pass without interference. In that silence, a choice emerges that is neither forced nor rushed. The mind, no longer enslaved by immediate impulse, becomes a calm observer, capable of discerning what truly deserves attention and what will fade into insignificance. Restraint is not denial. It is an art of precision, a conscious allocation of energy where it matters most. In daily life, this principle transforms ordinary moments into opportunities for mastery. When provoked, the instinct may urge a sharp retort or an immediate action, but a mindful pause allows one to respond with wisdom, not instinct. Like a river flowing around rocks, energy is conserved and redirected, creating strength without waste. Shaolin teachings describe this as aligning with the natural rhythm of life, moving with its currents rather than against them. Musashi, through countless duels and trials, embodied this principle, a warrior who could strike with lethal efficiency because he had first learned the patience to wait. In cultivating restraint, the mind learns that power is not the volume of action, but the precision of choice. Every pause becomes a lesson, every moment of stillness a path to mastery, and every encounter a chance to act from true strength rather than fleeting impulse. Anger rarely announces itself loudly. It begins as a subtle shift, a quickening of the pulse, a tightening in the chest, a shadow passing across the mind. To master it, one must learn to observe with the precision of a seasoned martial artist. Just as a warrior studies an opponent's stance, breath, and smallest movements to anticipate action, the mind can learn to read its own signals before they erupt into chaos. Awareness becomes the first line of defense, a quiet strength that stands between impulse and reaction. Each thought that flickers with irritation, each sensation that hints at rising tension is a messenger. Shaolin masters call this listening to the body, an ancient practice of tuning in so completely that nothing escapes notice. By acknowledging these early signs without judgment or suppression, the mind gains clarity. Anger, instead of being a sudden storm, is revealed as a series of small ripples, each one offering information and insight. In this awareness lies the power to redirect energy, to transform what could have become destruction into focus, discipline, or measured action. The process demands patience and consistent practice. The untrained mind is often blind to these subtle signals, reacting violently before the body and spirit can align. But with daily observation, the pattern becomes visible. Triggers, sensations, and thoughts that once led to explosive anger can now be met with calm precision. In these moments, mastery is not about suppression or denial, but about understanding and choice. The mind learns to intervene gently, steering the energy of anger into channels of clarity and purpose. Each observation becomes a quiet victory, each pause a step toward control. Over time, the once unpredictable surge of fury becomes a teacher, revealing not only the hidden currents within the self, but also the path to inner freedom and unwavering composure. Anger is often seen as a force to suppress, a fire to extinguish, yet the wisdom of Shaolin and Musashi reveals a different path, transmutation. The energy of anger is neither inherently good nor evil, it is raw power, waiting to be guided. To resist it is to fight against the current, wasting strength and deepening frustration. To transmute it is to harness its momentum, shaping it into focus, clarity, and disciplined action. In this transformation, the very force that once threatened to destroy becomes a tool for mastery. Musashi, through years of duels and rigorous training, understood that every emotion carries potential if directed consciously. Anger, when observed and guided, sharpens the mind, heightens awareness, and fuels determination. Shaolin philosophy echoes this principle. The body and mind are vessels, capable of channeling any energy toward refinement rather than chaos. A surge of irritation can awaken the senses, illuminate weaknesses, or ignite motivation for skillful practice. The key lies not in denying the feeling, but in consciously redirecting its intensity toward growth. This transmutation requires patience and discipline. It is not an instant solution, but a cultivated skill. In moments of provocation, instead of lashing out, the practitioner breathes, observes, and channels the energy into purpose, be it mastering a technique, honing a craft, or deepening self-awareness. Each bout of anger becomes an opportunity to train the mind and body, transforming reactive impulses into deliberate strength. Over time, the practice rewires the mind. The destructive spark of fury evolves into a steady flame of focus. What was once a threat to clarity now becomes a catalyst for personal mastery. The wisdom of ancient warriors teaches that even the fiercest internal fire, when met with awareness and guidance, can illuminate the path to discipline, skill, and inner power. In the quiet of each morning before the world stirs, the mind has a chance to meet itself. Daily meditation, as practiced by Shaolin monks and Musashi alike, is more than stillness. It is an anchor in the storms of thought and emotion. The mind, left unchecked, is a restless river, carrying impulses and desires that can erupt into anger without warning. Through meditation, this river is observed, its currents understood, and its flow guided with intention. It is in these moments of disciplined quiet that mastery begins. Musashi spoke of emptying the mind, a practice not of voiding thought entirely, but of releasing attachment to fleeting emotions and judgments. In the space created by this emptiness, the mind regains control over impulses that once dictated action. Shaolin teachings describe it as clearing the battlefield within before the fight begins, preparing not the body, but the mind to act with clarity rather than reaction. Anger, when unexamined, seizes the body like a hidden adversary. Meditation transforms it into a visitor to be acknowledged and released rather than a force that commands obedience. The practice requires patience, for the mind resists emptiness with chatter and distraction. Yet even brief moments of focused stillness cultivate a foundation of calmness that carries through every interaction, every challenge, every provocation. With time, the mind becomes a steady presence, capable of observing rising tension without surrendering to it. Daily meditation trains the mind to pause before responding, to see the sparks of irritation and choose a path of composure. What was once automatic becomes conscious, what was once reactive becomes deliberate. In this disciplined quiet, anger loses its grip, and the practitioner steps into a space where clarity, balance, and inner mastery are not ideals to strive for, but living realities of each breath, each thought, each moment. Clinging too tightly is the root of much suffering. Musashi, through his years of solitude and battle, observed that attachment to outcomes, to honor, to how others perceive us, binds the mind and ignites anger. When expectations clash with reality, when judgment confronts imperfection, the flame of frustration rises. The path of mastery, he taught, is not in resisting life's unfolding, but in learning to move through it with a mind unburdened by attachment. Detachment is the silent strength that allows one to act freely, with clarity and precision, without the chains of personal desire dictating every move. Shaolin philosophy echoes this ancient truth. Anger is rarely born from the world outside. It is born from the self, from the ego's insistence that life conform to its wishes. By observing this, the practitioner begins to see that letting go is not apathy, nor is it surrender. It is an assertion of inner sovereignty, a refusal to give power to fleeting thoughts and emotions. Expectations are gently released, judgment softened, and the grip of identity loosened. What remains is presence, awareness, and choice. This practice requires subtle discipline. Each moment of irritation becomes a test of detachment, an opportunity to notice the mind's impulse to cling and to redirect it toward calm observation. Over time, the habitual flare of anger loses its force, and the mind learns to act from discernment rather than impulse. Musashi's own life was a testament to this principle, a warrior capable of decisive action, yet free from the turbulence of ego and attachment. In letting go, mastery over emotional reactions is not only possible, it becomes natural. Detachment transforms the fire of anger into a mirror, reflecting the self with honesty, clarity, and unshakable presence, turning inner turmoil into a path of wisdom. Every moment is like a river flowing past, never the same, never still. Shaolin philosophy teaches that all experiences, even the fiercest anger, are fleeting. They rise, surge, and eventually dissolve, leaving the mind to witness their passing. Most suffering comes not from the emotion itself, but from the tendency to cling to it, to let it root itself deep in the heart. Anger feels permanent only when the mind refuses to see its impermanence, when it holds on as if the wave will never recede. To recognize impermanence is to gain perspective. A harsh word, a betrayal, a frustration, they arrive and depart like clouds across the sky. Musashi understood this in the heat of battle, where a single moment could decide life or death, yet the past and future were illusions. By seeing anger as temporary, the practitioner releases the grip it tries to exert. Resentment no longer accumulates like stones in the heart, and frustration ceases to dictate thought and action. Awareness of the transient nature of experience allows a natural detachment, a gentle surrender to the flow of life without surrendering inner strength. This understanding does not diminish the intensity of feeling, it reframes it. When the mind observes a surge of anger as a wave, rising and falling, there is space to respond consciously rather than react unconsciously. The energy that once fueled conflict can be directed toward insight, patience, or focused action. Over time, the habitual flares of fury lose their dominance, replaced by calm observation and resilience. The wisdom of Shaolin and Musashi converges here. Mastery is not the absence of emotion, but the ability to see its true nature and let it pass, allowing the mind to remain clear, balanced, and unshakable amidst the ever-changing currents of life. Anger is not a force to suppress or fear, but a guide pointing toward deeper understanding of ourselves. As Musashi and Shaolin masters teach, true mastery begins within, through patient awareness, disciplined practice, and conscious choice. By observing anger, transforming its energy, and integrating its lessons into daily life, it becomes a tool for clarity, focus, and personal growth, rather than a source of chaos. Each moment of irritation offers an opportunity to practice restraint, redirect energy, and strengthen the mind. Over time, this gentle, mindful approach fosters lasting calm and a sense of inner freedom that cannot be shaken by external circumstances. Take these teachings into your everyday life, noticing triggers, pausing, breathing, and choosing responses that reflect mastery rather than impulse. In embracing this path, anger no longer controls you. It becomes a teacher, a mirror, and a companion on the journey towards self-mastery. Thank you for joining us on this exploration. If this lesson resonates, please like this video and subscribe to Heng Chronicles, where ancient wisdom meets modern practice, guiding you toward a life of balance, presence, and inner peace.